When I first started giving private piano lessons from my home in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio, I never thought one of my students would be the reason I'd spend so many nights awake, questioning everything around me. My name is Elizabeth Carter, and I've been teaching music for more than 15 years. My house isn't large, but it's warm, filled with instruments, stacks of sheet music, and little reminders of years gone by. It's not unusual for students to come and go, some staying for only a few months, others for years, becoming almost like family. That's why what happened still feels so strange, even now, when I sit alone in my bedroom remembering every detail. One of my newer students was a young man named Daniel Harris. He was in his early 20s, a college student who had always wanted to learn the piano but never had the chance growing up. When he first arrived, he seemed quiet and respectful, always carrying a notebook to jot down little reminders about finger placement or rhythm. At first, I thought nothing unusual about him. He was just another student eager to learn. But things began to shift slowly, and I didn't realize how strange it would all become until the night I discovered what he had done in my bedroom. That evening started like any other. I had finished my last lesson of the day, tidied the living room, and retreated upstairs to prepare for bed. I remember carrying a mug of chamomile tea, hoping for a peaceful night's sleep after a long day of teaching. But when I opened the door to my bedroom, something felt off immediately. The first thing I noticed was that the curtains had been drawn, even though I had left them open that morning. My heart skipped. I tried to reason with myself, telling myself I must have closed them and forgotten. Still, a strange tension filled the room, the kind of tension you can't explain but you feel in your chest. On my nightstand was a folded piece of paper that hadn't been there before. My first thought was confusion. Who would have left something in my private space? My house was always locked, and no one had a reason to go upstairs except me. Hands trembling slightly, I picked up the note and unfolded it. Inside was handwriting I recognized immediately. It was Daniel's. He had left me a message, one that I couldn't understand at first. The words were simple, but chilling in their mystery. I know what you keep hidden. Don't pretend anymore. For a moment, I just stared at the page, my mind racing. What could he possibly mean? What could a student of mine know about me, especially something hidden? My life was ordinary. I worked, I taught music, I went about my days quietly. The only things in my past I considered private were small personal regrets, nothing worth this kind of message. I sat on the edge of my bed, the paper shaking in my hands, trying to convince myself it was some kind of strange mistake or even a misguided joke. But the longer I thought, the less it felt like a joke. Sleep didn't come that night. Every creak of the house made me jump. Every shadow seemed darker than usual. And the thought that Daniel had somehow been inside my bedroom without my knowledge gnawed at me relentlessly. The next day, I confronted him gently after his lesson. He seemed normal, polite, even cheerful, but when I asked if he had been upstairs in my house, he just smiled faintly and shook his head. That smile made my stomach twist. Days turned into weeks, and little things began to happen around my home. Objects in my bedroom would be slightly moved, like someone had picked them up and set them back down in the wrong position. A photograph frame tilted just enough for me to notice. A jewelry box opened when I knew I had closed it. Each time, my heart pounded harder. I never caught anyone in the act, but the evidence was undeniable. Someone had been in my most private space. I started locking my bedroom door, but even then, I found signs that it had been entered. A faint scratch near the lock, a pillow shifted, a faint smell of cologne that wasn't mine. My suspicion grew heavier with each discovery, and though Daniel never admitted anything, my instincts told me he was involved. I debated telling the police, but I worried they would think I was imagining things. Without proof, what could I really say? Then came the night when everything changed. I returned home late after visiting a friend, and the moment I stepped inside, I sensed it again, that wrongness, that suffocating tension. I climbed the stairs cautiously, heart hammering, and pushed open the bedroom door. What I saw froze me where I stood. On my bed, laid out with deliberate care, were pages from Daniel's notebook. But instead of music notes or practice reminders, they were filled with disturbing sketches, Sketches of my bedroom, my face as I slept, my hands on the piano keys. Every detail was drawn with unsettling accuracy, as if he had been watching me closely, maybe even while I was unaware. I wanted to scream, but my voice caught in my throat. Gathering the pages, I realized one of them had words scrawled across it. "You can't hide forever." That was the moment I knew it wasn't my imagination. Someone had been inside my room, watching, leaving traces. The fear was no longer something I could reason away. It was real, and it was dangerous.